In October 2019, something horrific unfolded on the outskirts of Essex, England. The bodies of 39 Vietnamese migrants were discovered inside a refrigerated trailer parked in an industrial estate near Grays. They had been sealed inside for hours, possibly even more, slowly freezing to death in pitch darkness, unable to escape. They were young, some just teenagers, chasing the promise of jobs, money, and a better life in the UK. Families in rural Vietnam had paid smugglers up to $40,000 per person for what they were told was a VIP route into the country. Instead, they were crammed into a container with no ventilation and no hope. The trailer they entered to reach their dreams became their tomb. The lorry had crossed the English Channel from Belgium, arriving at the Purfleet docks. It was picked up by a British driver named Maurice Robinson, who was supposed to transport it just a few miles inland. But when he opened the back, what he saw made him immediately call emergency services. Dozens of lifeless bodies, all stiff and cold. Among the victims were 31 men and 8 women. One of them, a 26-year-old woman, managed to text her parents as she suffocated. "I can't breathe. I'm dying. I'm sorry, Mum." Her words became a heartbreaking symbol of a journey gone horribly wrong. UK and Vietnamese authorities launched joint investigations. DNA samples were flown between continents to identify the victims, who mostly came from poor farming provinces like Nghe An and Ha Tinh. Families had taken out massive loans, sold their homes, and gone into debt, all to fund a journey that ended in silence. The investigation unraveled a massive smuggling network spanning several European countries. These were not amateur operations. This was organized crime. Coordinated convoys, fake documents, bribes at checkpoints, safe houses in France, drop-off points in Belgium. The smugglers treated human lives like cargo. 15 people were arrested in the UK, 19 more in Belgium. Some were charged with manslaughter, others with money laundering or violating immigration laws. But for many families, justice felt incomplete. No sentence could bring back their sons, daughters, brothers, and mothers. Back in Vietnam, grieving families protested. They demanded answers. The government promised to help repatriate the bodies, but many couldn't even afford the funeral costs. Loans kept piling up, and those who had paid smugglers were left not only childless, but bankrupt. This tragedy sparked global outrage, but the truth is, it wasn't the first, nor the last. Every year, thousands take similar risks. Many die quietly, without headlines. This time, the horror was just too visible to ignore. What drives someone to get into a sealed metal box? What pushes a parent to risk everything for a child's future in a foreign land? And why is it so easy for smugglers to keep getting away with it? These are not nameless victims. They had dreams. They had families. They believed the world had something better waiting for them. But instead of freedom, they found a frozen prison. And their story is a chilling reminder. When desperation meets greed, hope can freeze to death. In June 1975, 12-year-old Terry Floyd vanished from a quiet stretch of the Pyrenees Highway near Avoca, Victoria. He had been playing football earlier that afternoon and was last seen standing beside a brown panel van with a man later identified as Raymond Kenneth Jones sitting inside. For nearly 50 years, the case remained cold. No arrests, no body recovered, no answers. Just a grieving family and a brother, Daryl Floyd, haunted by the question, what happened to Terry? Decades later, the case returned to the spotlight. A long-dismissed witness, Elizabeth Gribble, emerged as a crucial figure. Gribble, a nurse who lived near the scene, had confided in her daughter before she died in 2021 that she saw Terry speaking to a man in a fawn-colored panel van on the day he disappeared. She believed the man was Raymond Jones. Her testimony had been overlooked and never reached investigators, not until years after her death. Former Detective Charlie Bazina compiled her account and formally handed it to Victoria Police's Missing Persons Unit. The case, once frozen in time, stirred again. Police submitted a new inquest brief to the coroner, requesting a second hearing. If granted, it will open new legal avenues and spark further investigation. One pivotal moment came this year, in 2025, when a crime awareness forum called Insight into Crime was held in Geelong. Bazina and Daryl Floyd spoke at the event, which aimed to raise funds to excavate the Morning Star mine near Bung Bong Hill, a disused site long suspected to be where Terry's remains might lie. The mine sat less than 20 kilometers from where Terry was last seen. The stakes were enormous. A $1 million reward remained active for any information leading to a conviction. The renewed attention to the case inspired cold case activists, ignited media interest, and brought fresh scrutiny to old leads. In Avoca, Daryl Floyd described the resurgence of the case as a glimmer of hope after decades of silence. "All we've got is hope," he told reporters. "Hope that someone out there knows something. Hope that Terry will finally come home." He drew strength from other solved cold cases and believed this one still had a chance. After so long, even one witness could make the difference. Investigators focused on three critical questions. Was Jones the last person to see Terry alive? Could any forensic evidence still exist at the Morning Star mine? And why had Gribble's testimony been ignored for so many years? For the local community, this wasn't just another cold case. It was a wound that never healed. The forum wasn't just about funding an excavation. It was about reopening a conversation, encouraging new witnesses to come forward, and putting pressure on officials to act. As public awareness spread, new leads seemed possible. Someone, somewhere, might still hold the missing piece. Maybe a buried memory, maybe a quiet confession, maybe a clue that could finally break the case. Because if a nurse's deathbed confession could echo 50 years later, then no case should ever be considered truly unsolvable. And when grief meets relentless determination, even the coldest cases don't stay cold forever. On May 29, 2025, 21-year-old Lesnar Noe Velasquez Cardenas drove toward Mount Shasta, California, hoping to conquer a local hiking challenge. Earlier that evening, he had crashed his car on a rural road outside Redding, but walked away unhurt. Authorities arrived, found the wrecked vehicle, and Lesnar was gone. He flagged down a taxi and told the driver he was heading for a hike, but Mount Shasta held no personal connection for him until that night when all traces of him vanished. His phone pinged once outside Redding, then went silent. His wallet was later discovered at a friend's home, untouched. His clothes and belongings were never found. Search efforts ramped up fast. Rangers with deep knowledge of the area scoured established trails and forests. Drones flew overhead. Ground teams combed campsites. Yet despite favorable weather and a clear map of his likely route, no backpack, no footprints, no clues. Even seasoned Mount Shasta climbing ranger Nick Myers confessed he had never seen anything like this. Lesnar wasn't an experienced hiker. Friends described him as cautious, especially around law enforcement, and nervous after the crash. Some wondered, did fear drive him deeper into the wilderness or toward hiding? Days turned into weeks. The community's hope faded. Authorities reviewed surveillance of the crash site. They retraced every step. They combed through taxi and phone records, and there was no sign of forced entry into the mountain area. No Amber Alerts, no ransom demand. The only constant was Lesnar's absence. His family flew in from Redding to join the search. Posters lined trailheads. Volunteers formed human lines across valleys. Helicopters circled the summit, but the mountain stayed quiet. It gave up no answers. No pack, no jacket, no message. By mid-June, law enforcement turned to digital records, Wi-Fi pings, credit card logs, social media logs. Nothing placed Lesnar anywhere after that taxi ride. No late-night photos, no check-ins, just silence. Still, a flicker of hope remained. The case was officially classified as a missing person, not a foul play investigation. Searchers knew how the terrain could play tricks on the mind. A minute off trail, and someone could vanish into a hidden ravine. With time, the elements would erase tracks, swallow fabric, devour scent. But Lesnar's story hung in limbo. Weeks after his disappearance, the community held a candlelight vigil at the trailhead. They prayed for safe return. They prayed for answers. But the vigil felt like a question mark carved in the woods. What if Lesnar chose to disappear intentionally? A symbolic escape or a cry for help? Or what if he got lost, hit the wrong fork, never crossed paths with searchers? Mount Shasta has a reputation for strange vanishings. The terrain can mesmerize, it can disorient, it can swallow you whole. And now Lesnar was the mountain's newest mystery. The clock kept ticking, his phone stayed dead, the mountain remained still, but the search had only just begun. Someone, somewhere, knows what happened. Even a hiker with a witness account, a driver with a dash cam clip, a needle in the digital haystack. And until Lesnar is found or the silence breaks, Mount Shasta holds its breath over his fate.